I want to talk today about the fire spirit and its origin, the Huaishuan. There was a practitioner very famous in Sichuan, in Chengdu area, in the 19th century. His name was Zheng Qing'an. And Zheng Qing'an, what was special about him, he was like a classical Chinese medicine practitioner specializing in Shanghan Lun style medicine. But what was special about him is that, first of all, he was very, very effective. The results of his treatment were just unbelievable. And what made it odd is that he used a lot of hot herbs at times, not all the time. He used a lot of hot herbs like aconite and things like that. Like, very spicy hot herbs in Chinese medicine, we call them hot herbs. And he would get like an amazing results. Like people would almost die and he would recover them from the dead, so to speak. And that's why he was called by many people around him at the time like a fire spirit, a spirit like a god, a fire god. Because he was dealing with fire or fiery type herbs to a degree that other people, other practitioners could just not figure out what is he doing. Normally when they would use it, there would be a lot of side effect and even to a degree damage to the patient. But when he would use it, you'll just see amazing recovery, almost miraculous. So that was the beginning of him and his students of something called the Fire Spirit School. Like this trend of people that know how to use very hot herbs to help people and not to hurt them. What was interesting to me, and I studied that school for many years, but what was interesting to me as I was translating Zheng Qing'an works, he had 3 books, I translated one of them. In the foreword to the book, he mentioned his teacher, Liu Yuan, and he said, I studied with my teacher, the Shanghan Lun, the Yellow Emperor, all kind of classics, the I Ching, but I really could only eavesdrop. I could just hear a little bit from what he said, which is a humble way to say my teacher's knowledge was so supreme and I could really just learn so much. Not everything, I could just learn a little bit. So that was like very curious to me. And also another interesting anecdote is that when I was translating the book, I had an earlier version, that was from before the communist time. And at the very, very end, conclusion of this book, Zheng Qing'an writes something to the extent that when I try all the herbal medicine and all the medical methods, so to speak, and nothing works, like the patient is sick and nothing helps the patient. He said, I would take the patient to the market. We would buy fish, they have live fish for people to buy to eat. We would buy some fish and we will release the fish into the river. Meaning, we would do something good, an act of goodness. And he said that thing with the patient never failed to solve the problem. The patients always recovered when they start doing good things like this, going to a temple and praying and buying fish and releasing it to the river and things like that. And I found it like very, very curious. It's like, we're doing medicine. We're not in the business of releasing fish into the river. So how is that super famous practitioner that has such a remarkable efficacy in the clinic make such a statement that at the end, I'm just helping them do something good and that actually cures the problem? So that prompted me to look for, his teacher obviously died, 150 years ago, but looking for that school that was called the Huaishuan School. He studied at the Huaishuan School, and what I found out, to my surprise, that the Huaishuan School was a very, very famous school in China at the time, with thousands and thousands of students flocking it from all over China and from other countries in the Far East mainly. And that in this school, the core of the practice was to learn about the heart and emotions, and of course they also learned medicine because you use medicine to help people. So this is part of goodness practice, to know how to do medicine. But the core of it was to learn about the heart and the emotions and how that has clinical efficacy. And this is exactly what Zheng Qing'an said at the end of his book. He said, I teach them the heart. Like to release fish into the river means I teach them the heart methods and that is fail-proof. Everybody get cured from that. So I found out also that Zheng Qing'an was just one relatively small students from the thousands and thousands of students that flocked at school, and Liu Yuan and his children, grandchildren, and disciples. You know, and I was amazed how Zheng Qing'an was such a wonderful practitioner. But just like he said in the foreword to his book, you know, I just learned a little bit. You know, and so I researched for many, many years. I became a student, a disciple in the school, and what I want to share with you is that what Zheng Qing'an was saying in his book, like teaching really, really the innermost of the heart, understanding it, knowing how to decipher it, how to treat it, how to remedy it, is actually really, really wonderful. So I want to share that I will be teaching 3 retreats in the coming months here in Boca Raton, Florida. We have a Tai Chi retreat in April, and then in June we have a Huai Xuan retreat about the heart, a 3-day retreats, and then also a week of teachers training. Anyone who is interested to actually go deeper and deeper into the Huai Xuan method and know how to teach it to others, that will be the teachers training. And in July we have a Hunyuan retreat, also a 3-day retreat, which actually has the essence of the Fire Spirit School, just translated and become, you know, over the years I made it more in English available, clarified the concept, made them more logical and not so ancient concepts. And we have this retreat, a Hunyuan medicine retreat, in July. So I hope you enjoyed this little talk about Fire Spirit and Huai Xuan, and I hope to see you in the retreat.